I don't know if anybody can hear me, so I'm just going to talk. Nice to not see you, John.
I still don't see it. I have it up on YouTube.
Well, there's a
So,
delay, so like a
oh,
20-second delay or whatever. Brian says we're live.
oh,
I don't know if anybody can hear me. I don't know. I'm just going to talk.
we'll see
How
if
are you?
anybody.
Yeah, there. See? You see me. Just me, though.
Okay,
Hi,
there it goes.
everybody. Let's start over. Holy fuck. Sorry, it's been like a month since I've done anything. So, Dave says he can hear me. So,
Good.
hopefully they can hear you too. Hi, John. How are you?
I am doing very well, Manda.
Thanks. I appreciate you coming on. I just wanted to like do something, talk, just have a laugh with somebody or whatever. So tell me what you have been up to. Like you are ending Power Corrupt soon, right?
Yeah, I think there's maybe probably three more episodes left. I I I know how the story goes, but I just don't know how many episodes for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That would entail, but I do know that it's getting close. So yeah, I've been working on that. I've been writing the book, you know, and when lightning strikes for an idea for a cartoon, then I'll immediately start working on that because that kind of takes priority.
Yeah. How does lightning strike for you though? How do
Um,
you stumble upon your ideas?
it's so unpredictable. Like it can't be forced because that makes for uninspired content. It has to be sincere. So if I see something that I really want to respond to, and I think of something that genuinely makes me laugh out loud, those are very good steps towards a video.
Okay. So like when you asked me at the beginning of the month, do you have any ideas for a video? Doesn't it's a little forced though. Not that I ever
Oh,
have anything for you.
sure. I mean, I ask around sometimes what people are thinking about, and if people know of anything that I might be able to address, that they might want to see me address, and if I feel like addressing it, it's not just um, accepting whatever people suggest. It's listening to a
Yeah.
bunch of people and thinking, well, do I want to do that or do I not want to do that? But
No. I think the one time I might have helped you, you did something like completely different than my idea, but it was just like this tiny little spark, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go this way in that direction with it." So, you know, hey, how much of like you do a lot of arguing on Twitter? Do you ever get inspired by that bullshit to write any of your cartoons?
yeah, and that's the absolute only way I can justify it, because arguing on Twitter is just about normally the biggest waste of time any human being can engage in. And I can,
Remember when you tried to quit Twitter?
yeah, I tried to quit Twitter. I think that was what, 48 hours maybe, but
No, oh, it was almost 3 days. It was like 2.5 days.
oh,
Just fucking give up. Quit.
hey, there's Leah.
Baby.
She's
Yeah,
so adorable.
I know she is. But I knew like because as much as annoying as it can be sometimes, you get a great deal of joy, like arguing with. Okay. So like, let's take for example, what the fuck happened with the necromancer? Like, what was that about?
Oh, yeah, I got into an argument with a necromancer. Um,
Okay, go ahead.
apparently he's able to control human beings for his army. Um, I mean, I looked at his account, and he kind of keeps this up. So it was, I mean, either he's doing this huge performance where he, has a whole, account dedicated to this. Like sometimes you expect, someone's just lying in one or two tweets, but no, he does this. He sends me messages. He sent me messages of people asking him for like spiritual advice and stuff to prove that he's able to control people. And I asked him to control me, and when he couldn't, he said it's because I don't actually want the proof. He started by saying he does it non-consensually. He said he used the word. Yeah, he says he controls people non-consensually. Well, then why does my wanting of proof have any bearing on it? If it's non-consensual, that shouldn't matter. He should be able to take control of me in a heartbeat, right?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
And he's told me that there's creatures, fantasy. I'm using the word fantasy. There's, because he refers to them as like fairies and goblins and stuff that actually do live in the woods all over the world. And I told him that I've never seen this, and he says I'm using he says I'm retroactive. My skepticism is retroactive. In other words, I'm not looking for it. I wasn't looking for it back then, which is why I didn't see it. And I said, maybe he's just, falling to pareidolia, and he's just, assigning agency to inanimate objects or whatever. But no, he told me, no, I'm not being a skeptic. I have to go into the woods now that he has given me this information, and I would probably see what he's talking about. But little did he know that I was in the woods. Wow.
Okay, there's my question though.
Yeah.
Were you already in the woods, or did you go into the woods because he told you to?
Well, let's just leave semantics aside and say that at least I was in the woods for a portion of my tweeting. Okay.
Well, yeah, I know.
I took a picture of a phone, using a phone, because Twitter has turned me into a really pathetic person who takes pictures of his own phone in the woods to prove a point to a necromancer.
Was it your wife's phone?
Yes, it was my wife's phone.
Yeah.
And I called her for help. I said, please don't make me explain that I have to prove to a necromancer on Twitter that I'm in the woods. I do not want to have to explain this to my wife. I do not want to have to hire a divorce lawyer. Just do what I say and don't ask questions. Yeah, so I did it. I took, and I don't think I heard from him since. I don't know. I don't know which one of us is more pathetic, honestly. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like your wife might kind of be used to this shit by now, and just like, okay, fine, whatever. Here's the phone.
You would think so, but I'm always willing to reach a new low. Yeah.
Yes, I know. So that was like, I really, honestly, I left you alone for one day, and that fucking shit happened with the necromancer. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so. You can't leave me unsupervised on the internet, Manda, or else I am going to get into fights with necromancers. You should know this by now.
Yep. So that was my bad. My bad. Literally, the first thing I saw as I opened Twitter after like a day and a half, I'm like, what the fuck? But I don't know if I want to know the answer to this.
You know what, though? You know what's really scary, even as a non-believer in the supernatural, is sometime after that exchange, I thought to myself, and my heart kind of sank a little bit. I thought to myself, you know what? He really did control me. He got me to go into the fucking woods.
Well, I mean,
that son of a bitch. A necromancer really did control me.
I guess if you look at it that way, yeah. But it was not mind control. It was not like Jedi control. Speaking of Jedi control, okay? Like, seriously, they don't really take enough advantage of the different things they could do with powers like that. Like, what kind of stupid shit would, like, I swear to God, I don't know. I would totally make my opponent pee themselves. Like, why not? You have that ability. Like, why not push it forward? What would you do if you were a Jedi and had that power?
I'm in the middle of a lightsaber
whole ghost,
fight.
yeah, there's a ghost section in here, or kind of a ghost section. But we're gonna explore this book. Don't worry, guys. If you like this kind of stuff, we're gonna explore it. But yeah, I like debunking ghost stories. And I was talking to, we were talking a little bit before,
just enough of a distraction.
So
to slip through their defenses.
What they'll do with volumes like this, and with Mystic
there you go. You gotta be creative about this shit. Just like throwing people around is not enough, yo.
They'll
choking.
Put folklore and stuff on
kind
of the same level as like historical.
But the problem with that is how do you depict that in a like a PG-13 movie?
I don't know. I believe it was in one of those books that there was
like,
honestly, Bell Witch.
First of all, but fuck Disney because it can't be
found out a lot of that
but
nonsense, like stuff about Andrew Jackson going there and stuff. Andrew Jackson is never
13 anymore.
Gone.
Yeah, so why not make it true to life and
was
it rated R?
Was episode 3 PG-13? Because there was some pretty brutal scenes with Anakin being
folklore and history wrapped.
I don't remember.
And didn't the Blair Witch Project?
That was the only one that I didn't see in the theater.
There was parts of that based on the Bell.
And Angel was like a year old then.
Oh wow!
But I saw
it was that long.
Well, I didn't see it. Obviously, the first, the original 3, because I know you saw the second one in the theater, right?
Well, I remember seeing Jedi in the theater.
Yeah. When you were very, very young.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that was. What was that? 1985 or something like that.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I can't remember what.
I remember everything about that day. We went to McDonald's.
I know. The only reason I let you squeak by with that shit sometimes because it's like, oh, it's nostalgic. Like, that's not really fair for you to use as an excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones. And then I think no, I didn't see the Clone Wars, the cartoon one in the theater. I think he was too young for that, but he did get it and get obsessed with it right away. So, and then obviously we saw the last, the newest 3, and we're like disappointed every time, but we still went. It was still a nice experience, and we did it when we lived here. Because the first one we were still living in Tucson, the last 2 we were living here. So all the Star Wars movies, including Solo and Rogue One, we took his best friend Juan to see it with us. So it was our thing.
Yeah, I remember how excited everyone was for The Force Awakens, and people were happy with it, but I think a lot of people were like, "Okay, you just remade Star Wars, basically."
They did. They totally did.
And the problem was that there was no cohesive there were too many different directions. Like people wanting people kept doing their own thing. They should have had like a one direction throughout all 3 movies. They should have had all of that fleshed out, before they started filming. And I think it was just like, I don't know, it just seemed spliced together.
Jumping around with directors the way that they did it was fucking stupid, and just but I mean, honestly, I don't know what they could have put out that would have satisfied the fans anyway. We were always gonna it sucked more than it should have, but we were still gonna complain about it. Just like with Game of Thrones ending was awful, but everybody was probably still gonna hate it anyway. Like, you don't get a lot of Sopranos endings in shows like that. So sorry, you don't know the Sopranos.
I missed the Sopranos. I do know a lot of shows that people and movies that people really love and get excited for are always disappointed with the endings. It's really hard to end them well. Like, you know, you like what you said with the Game of Thrones. Also, you know, Walking Dead, that used to be really, really major, and then it went down a bad road, and then like The Matrix, and like, you know, all these different franchises. But there's a few, I think, like for instance, maybe Breaking Bad. There's like a few that are like from beginning to end, everyone's satisfied.
I was going to use Vince Gilligan as an example, because for Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan knew how it was going to begin and how it was going to end, and he weaved the story through that way. Whereas a lot of things like Game of Thrones, especially not having, you know, an actual ending in the books or anything, they put everything into the middle of it, and then they have no real direction to know where to end it. So you just can't. If you know the ending from the beginning, you can do it better.
And there's no temptation to milk it. If there's a definite ending that you're headed towards, you know, a lot of problems can come into play when you're just trying to extend it as much as possible to make as much money as possible.
Yeah. Like, again, with Breaking Bad, it was only 5 seasons, and everybody was all up in arms about that, because they were like, oh, we love Breaking Bad, we want more of it. But no, this is how he wanted it to go. And then, you know, they even tried, they put that fucking movie out, El Camino, and it sucked. You couldn't, you know, there's no adding to it. The story was perfect the way it was. So
I still haven't seen El Camino. I haven't seen Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul is better. El Camino, I mean, it's a movie, so it doesn't take that much time, but it was super unnecessary. Like, they didn't need to do it. But they did actually answer the question about Walt being dead, because that was kind of up in the air. Like, oh, maybe he survived at the end. But then, because of the movie, which, you know, I'm not giving anything away because they say it in the trailer that, you know, Walter White was dead. He's sitting in the, Jesse's sitting in the car, and he's listening to the radio, and he hears that, you know, the meth kingpin or whatever is dead. So, sorry. But anyway, it's you know, Saul is better, and Saul is another one where, you know, he knows the direction it's going in, because, you know, it's a prequel anyway, so it has to go in a certain direction. So, and I think they're doing the last season now, which I think it's 6 seasons total as well. So, yeah, you just need better TV. That's all. But I mean, I've said this to you countless times. So, like, whatever, it's fine.
Well, I've watched. I just finished Invincible. I really liked that.
And I still need to finish that.
And I finished Castlevania, which is good, but I liked Invincible better because I like the story for Invincible better. But Castlevania has some good scenes. And what else did I do? Oh, The Boys was good.
I was gonna say that. You like you must have asked me 10 times, yo, have you seen The Boys?
Yeah. I really liked it. Which it's similar to Invincible, but in its own way. They're not carbon copies of each other. They both, you know, have their own.
There's the more like realistic viewpoint of what superpowers would be like. I mean, you know how I fucking feel about superhero shit. It is just like, not my thing. Like, trying to get through the fucking Marvel bullshit just so I could, like, you know, because I ended up watching WandaVision with Angel, so we're like, just you know, watch some of the movie. Oh my god, it was so much. But anyway, yeah, I just, it's not my thing, but I like the darker side of it. So I did like The Boys, and I did start watching Invincible, but I haven't finished it yet.
I had an idea for a story, and maybe you're not supposed to do this, you know, to tell ideas for stories, but I don't care, because the moment you hear it, and if someone tries to copy it, it can be proven that I came up with it first. Okay, so I think I could put it out there. what if they made we make all these superhero stories the way we do now, okay, and society collapses, and years and years and years go by, generations go by, and someone discovers this trove of superhero media, and it becomes the new Bible. Like they have fucking video of Superman. That is proof. That's proof. You can see it with your own eyes, right? He's flying. He's got lasers coming from his eyes, right? And they become like the new mythology, the new gods.
That would be interesting. On the other hand, what if all they found was really weird porn?
Again, they
They totally knew I was going to go there, though.
Yeah.
Nothing. No.
I'm trying to think of a way to. I think that would just turn them back into conservative Christians. Like this is why society collapsed. Look at what they were watching.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So we would just get more of the same. Yeah.
Speaking of conservatives, so like, what do you think is going to happen to their party right now? Are they going to implode? Or are they going to become like a super Trump party? Because like, I can't really tell which direction it's going in at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I honestly don't know. Like, we'll know a lot more come midterms. The trend where the trend is headed for the next election cycle for the presidency. But as far as where they're at now, it was a pretty high turnout for Trump. It just wasn't enough, and now I don't know if there's enough division in the party to diminish that. Like they have strength, when they work together, and I think the right tends to do a little better of a job than the left of just going along to get along and dealing with each other with their disagreements so that they can have their way in power, get their people elected, and there's more there seems to be more infighting on our side of issues, which isn't good. But I mean, I think that's just a natural consequence of having more integrity, frankly, is you're
which they are sorely lacking. A little bit.
Yeah. Like you're naturally going, if you have integrity, you're naturally not going to want to go along with things that you don't agree with, for even if, I mean, you could make an argument that it's for the greater good and maybe appeal that way. But I mean that's what they're doing.
Yeah. No, we do have that. There's not always perfect cohesion, but the issue is that Trump wants to have this power as kingmaker for the midterms. And if he's able to do that, if he's able to change anything and have like the people that he's backing actually get elected, that gives him more power in the party. And they think that will give him what he needs to be able to run in 2024. And that you feel like there's no way that could fucking happen. But I mean, we never thought he would run, let alone win in the first place. So I don't know because I don't understand why they keep throwing their support behind him, why they keep like sticking to this fucking stupid election lie just to satisfy him, even though they know it's wrong. Like,
they fear his base. They don't. I mean, they see what happens to people like Romney. They don't want to become political pariahs.
It's so fucking ridiculous to have that kind of power, especially after like he, allowed the Democrats to take over all of it except for fucking Supreme Court, obviously, because he did that. But like, it was his failures that lost the midterms before his presidential election that he lost. But he holds on to this. I honestly think he's starting to believe the whole election lie thing. He just has so many people, so many yes men around him telling him, oh, of course you had it stolen from you, of course you did, that he's like, I don't know, he just seems to be completely losing his fucking mind. Not that it was all together to begin with, but like the whole thing where he's like crashing weddings and shit to talk about like, it's the saddest thing ever. I don't understand why people are still like, yo, that's my guy. Like fucking Liberty Hangout and her Trump is king bullshit. Like, bitch, do you not see how insane and pathetic this man is? Seriously? Nobody? Oh.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Liberty Hangout. They're the last people that should have the word liberty anywhere near them with the kind of shit they post. But like oh no, that wasn't them. Never mind. But yeah, I don't. It's definitely a cult of personality. What?
It's like the word patriot. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
They take these words and they don't seem to understand the meaning, or they try to change the meaning because they know it sounds patriotic or whatever, but
right.
They're not.
A lot of the times is what they'll do is they'll create the problems that they complain about. That's the main thing. Is like, for instance, the masks being political. Like, why they're mad about the masks being political, but like I saw them like in real time make the masks political, and then complain about it, and then attach that to patriotism, like. And it doesn't even make sense. Like they're saying that, if you see someone without a mask, that's a patriot. That's and it's I see it as more of like the opposite. Like if you're trying to at least take steps to protect your fellow Americans, your fellow countrymen from a pandemic spreading, which if you're concerned about people's health, that's what you would do. If you're concerned about the economy, well, a spreading pandemic is not fucking good for the economy. So you're going to want to mitigate it by, doing what you can do, social distancing, wearing masks, getting vaccinated. That's the kind of stuff that logically follows to like a patriotic narrative. Like you care about your country and the people in it. But this idea of fuck you, I do what I want no matter what, is just childish rebellion. And that's not patriotic in, like, in a way that actually makes sense.
Yeah, they pull that whole patriotic is they think that the Constitution gives them literal freedom to do whatever the fuck they want. It's just like when Trump was president, he thought he did misunderstood the Constitution. He thought he could do write an executive order and do whatever he wanted to do. That's not what liberty is. That's not what being the president is. It's just not.
And keep in mind, these are the people who think that the answer to everything is personal responsibility. Like, okay, well, practice what you preach. Then we know you don't have to wear a mask, but wouldn't it be personal responsibility to do it though? I mean,
my for some reason I tweeted about this the other day. They decided for the last week of school, they were lifting the mask rule. I don't know why the fuck they decided to do that, but they did.
Couldn't wait one more week.
I know, like, just why, really? But Angel ended up still wearing his mask because he's like, that's just what I'm going to do. And there are a lot. I mean, we live in Georgia. Unfortunately, there are. We've noticed a lot of the kids. Some of the very white kids are very MAGA-esque like their parents, and they gave him so much fucking shit for it. He's like, the MAGA Nazis picked on me for wearing my mask.
What's the point though? Who is it hurting?
I know.
It's not hurting anybody.
They also called him a derogatory name for a Hispanic person because his mask was the Mexican flag, even though he's white. But whatever, they're idiots anyway. Yeah, so like it's so stupid. It really is. Like when they go in front of schools and stuff and start yelling at these kids to like, not wear their masks, not listen. Like, why? What are you fucking accomplishing? What is it your fucking business that these children do? Like, it's insane.
And I mean, that's an odd thing to do for people who claim to love freedom and think that individuals should be able to do what they want to do, within the bounds of the law anyway. Like, so someone wants to wear their mask, in consideration of a pandemic, that shouldn't be an issue for you.
How would they feel if their kids walked out of school one day to a bunch of us telling them to not listen to their parents and go get vaccines? They would not like that. Yeah. I don't think so at all. Like, they would have a fucking fit about it.
Yeah. So they would be outraged. And as you know, I got the vaccine. I got the Pfizer one. And I've been told a couple of times now that I'm going to die soon, probably within the next 3 years. 3 years, according to a Twitter rando, and 10 years, according to Alex Jones. Alex Jones, thank you for the 10 years. He gave me the 10. So
Alex Jones,
yeah. So
what would be the point of that? Like, why? They know, like, most of the planet is going to try to get this vaccine. What would be the reason for them to kill everybody? Like, you can't make any more money as a pharmaceutical company if everybody's fucking dead. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why?
Yeah, I don't know the rationale, but I do know that about 40% of Americans are fully vaccinated now. So I mean, that is what is that, like 100 and how many, 60 million people, something like that? No, that's, well, I don't know. It's a lot of fucking people.
Oh yeah, no, something like that. But yeah, nobody, like, yes, there was a couple of the blood clot things, but like, it's so insane to me. Like, why continue to make shit up like this? Like, the fucking, when Tucker Carlson went off about how it's like fucking child abuse and shit to get your kids, or to make your kids wear masks or whatever, and you should call CPS if you see a person making their kids wear masks. Like, again, what the fuck is it hurting you? And like, why should you be telling anybody what to do with their children at all? Like, it's just it's fucking Tucker Carlson. I'm going to address a couple things in the chat. I was asked about my move thing. Just really quick, we had an issue with the last apartment. They aren't able to accommodate us for months. We had to find a new one, so we're just working on that. And Catholic traditionalists asked about me not speaking out against Biden. I don't love Biden. I talk shit about Biden too, but I was specifically talking about the horrible fucking shit that Trump did. Like, what they're doing with Fauci. I read something the other day. Somebody had asked on Twitter, like, why did they give Fauci so much shit? And somebody's answer was, well, they need to have somebody to blame for how badly they fucked up the pandemic. And so they're trying to change the narrative and just make him the villain. And it doesn't stick with us because we can see it. And I love how Fauci just kind of like laughs it off. But people on his side, on Trump's side, like, literally have called for his death. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, they pick up on these memes and it like filters through the hive mind, and then they it's like they all have their new programming. They all have to go after Fauci now. They all have to go after Bill Gates. Like it's like somebody at the top picks this person to scapegoat or this issue, and then it just filters down through the hierarchy.
Yeah, and it's always some insane, like, out of this world explanation for shit too. Like the whole Bill Gates thing or whatever, like a 5G thing. Like it's nothing that could even make a little bit of sense. And you hear stuff like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who spouts the most ridiculous nonsense, yet they still stand behind her. And she's become kind of like a face of the party right now, which is
remember the Jewish space lasers?
Yes.
Like this elected official, like saying this stuff.
And she, the fact that she is like honestly, she's, elected. She's a Georgia, but I'm not in the district that she was elected in, so I didn't have her on my ballot. I didn't know anything about her until election night. And I saw that she was elected, and I looked her up really quick. And the first fucking thing I read about her was QAnon supporter, and I was like, did my state just put a QAnon believer into the House of Representatives?
Yeah. And did you see that creepy video of her and her crew talking through the mail slot of AOC's office? Like, who does that? That's just childish.
Weirdly obsessed with AOC. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but because this was the video was, I think, from before she was actually elected. She used to just come to Washington, like that one video of her harassing that kid that was in the Sandy Hook shooting. And just wow. That was from before she was elected. And so was the mail slot thing. So she's been even before she was elected into the House of Representatives, she has been on this harassment campaign against AOC, and she's just obsessed with her. But why, again, if this shit, I'm sorry, but if this shit had happened with the Democrats, if we had somebody do this fucking shit, we would be like, no, that's not okay. Why do they stand behind her and allow her to do this shit? Or taunting the poor woman with the trans, I think, daughter or something, because they were across the hall from each other. So she's like, there's only two genders. Or why the fuck is this any of your business, let alone for you to taunt somebody like that and about their child? Sorry.
No, it's not.
You know how I feel about her. You know how I feel about her.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable as to why you would feel that way about her. But there's a fundamental hypocrisy, obviously, and I think a lot of them know that, but just don't care.
Yeah,
it's win by any means necessary, and
that seems to be their only goal too. And I think this, you say it really well with your Power Corrupt series. It kind of goes hand in hand with what the Republicans seem to be doing, because they have no real desire to help people make change or even run this government at all. For fuck's sake, Trump didn't even have a platform when he ran for 2020. They just want to hold on to their power, like Mitch McConnell, who just his only job, literally he's said it, is to block shit from Democrats. That is it.
Yeah.
And he's been there for fucking ever.
Yeah. And the fear mongering is at the core of it all. There's people who actually believe sincerely that Joe Biden is a communist because of the fucking rhetoric from these people. It's insane.
There was one story that I read the other day that in fact Trump is still president, and I don't know if I told you this one. He will be reinstated in August. Right now they're just allowing Biden to be president so they can get all the people in his satanic child eating cabal or whatever the fuck they think, and they're trying to get everybody, and the FBI is gathering information on it's. So they said, but they'll all be taken down, and Trump will be reinstated by August 20th.
I remember when they said that exact same thing on January 20th. Like, no, he has to have the inauguration so that, you know, they can all be gathered, and then you're going to witness them raid them during the inauguration. You know, like it's they have all these fantastic like movies in there. What are you laughing at? You don't know what I'm talking about. Sammy thinks this is hilarious. Anyway, yeah, they have like these Jerry Bruckheimer movies in their head where, you know, Trump is going to swoop in on a fucking helicopter and take over. And it's just like the damn apocalypse, you know, the days that they pick keep coming and then going, and then they have to come up with a new date or a new excuse or new reason.
Yeah, they need to be able to say, well, I mean, it's still happening. Trust me, it's happening. It's just, you know, it's taking a little longer than we thought. But like, eventually it's just not going to happen. Like, you know, I did, when I was, I spent a few days at a hotel last week, and I don't have cable or anything. I watch everything online. So this is the first time I've had like cable in a while. So I had like, you know, OANN and Newsmax and Fox, and I was just sitting there like cycling through the morning television, and holy shit, like, you're not wrong about the fear mongering. It is so bad. They constantly pushing this like, if Democrats are in charge, it will literally be the end of the country, which will mean the end of the world. And like, it is insanely like, I don't know how they get away with this, but obviously when you're fed this crazy fear-mongering time after time, like with my parents who only used to watch Fox News, that's all they're hearing. So of course eventually they're going to believe it and freak out, and that's why you have shit like, you know, January 6th.
Yeah, and it's scary because, you know, they feel so justified in it because they really do believe in this alternate reality. They really do believe the country is being taken over and destroyed. And you have to think, like, how would you react if you sincerely believed that your country is being taken over and destroyed? And, you know,
but like, what, you know, you have these idiot militia people that think, you know, like, I know that they hold on to the Second Amendment thing, but do they honestly think that they're going to be able to take on the military? Like, you know, that we have like tanks and shit. I don't get the whole idea behind this, that they think they're going to take over the military and they're going to, you know, install their king into the White House again. It's just,
well, a lot of them think that the military will end up being on their side, or at least split. And some of them think that they do stand a chance against the military because, like, eventually what the military would have to would have to go house to house, would have to go on foot and actually deal with people firsthand, like the insurgents in Iraq, and that's when they would have their chance. You know, that's when they could put up a fight. And it's true that there's insurgencies that can hold up well against armies, and but the what's scary about that is that they want it to go that far, to where the country is destroyed, and there's, you know, armies going house to house and where they're fighting in the streets. And like, what the fuck do you think happens to an economy in a country like that? Like, they care so much about the economy, like what do you think will happen to your finances? What do you think will happen to, you know, all the things that you care about now? You're not going to be able to fucking leave your house and go to the, you know, the fast food joint, or go to the movie theater, or do any of the things you want to do. Your life is going to be, you know, third world.
Yeah. They don't seem to understand. It's just like with January 6th, they didn't think it through. They literally like broke into the fucking Capitol and then were like, okay, now what? Like, there was nothing they could do because, you know, obviously they had people evacuated or barred themselves into rooms. Like, they weren't going to change anything. They should have known that anyway. But there's no forethought in it at all. It's just, thinking completely that we have to take, back what's ours, and we have to do it by literally any means necessary. And that seems to be where they bring a lot of that kind of white supremacy feeling into it, because a lot of it is they don't, can't accept other people having rights because they feel like that's being taken away from them. No offense, white man.
I've gotten into way too many arguments with people about January 6th, and it's really fascinating to me the way they perceive it. Like, it's like they think it was just some peaceful thing, and that there was a few troublemakers, and they were probably Antifa. Like, the police just let them in, they say. Like, because they have video of like one area at one time where they're getting along with, where some people are getting along with the police or whatever, like that nullifies, the dozens of videos that I can show them of people fighting police, of police getting crushed in the door.
Yeah, I was thinking of that one video of that police officer getting crushed in the door and screaming. Yeah. They fucking killed a cop, for fuck's sake. Like,
and they won't
died. How was that just peaceful? Yes, I get it. When they actually got in, for some fucking dumbass reason, they stayed between the velvet ropes, because I don't know, they're just conditioned to do that, I guess. So yeah, that tiny little image of them not going outside the velvet ropes looked like they were fucking tourists. But what the fuck was happening outside and getting them into the Capitol, that shit was not touristy. No, it wasn't.
And 150 people were charged with assaulting police officers. Like, these are the Blue Lives Matter people,
Blue Lives Matter until they get in our fucking way.
Right. So. And the main argument against any of my criticisms, against any of my points about what happened on January 6th is, but what about what Antifa and BLM did all summer in 2020? Like,
not that shit.
Why do I have to defend any of that? Like, I'm not obligated to defend any rioting. I'm not obligated to defend any kind of arsons. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to defend that? But because I'm on the other side, and so are they. Therefore, we're in cahoots. Fuck off.
Yeah. No. That's always their argument. That's always their go-to. Or when you talk about the police, I've heard the argument that, they weren't real police because they were Capitol Police, which is just a stupid fucking argument, just because they weren't any kind of state police, because DC is, not a state. Like, it's so dumb. They will find any stupid way around it. But, they are supposed to be the Blue Lives Matter thing, but they completely glance over that, when they defend this. But it's so obvious that they're just trying very, very hard to change the narrative. And what scares me is I think that it's working on their side. I think people are starting to kind of rewrite history in their head and believe the people that are saying, oh, it was just like a bunch of tourists or whatever, or the people that try to say it was Antifa pretending to be Trump supporters, or whatever fucking argument that they have to try to change what actually happened. And obviously we see through it, but they don't. And what kind of damage is that going to do? How far is this going to end up spreading because they honestly believe that they're in the right and nothing, they didn't do anything wrong.
Right. Like, this is one of the fucking reasons why a Christian, for instance, can't argue with me about the eyewitnesses of what happened to Jesus, right? Like, I've always known people were like this. Like, you have the video of what happened on January 6th, right? And you even have video of stuff like that Kyle Rittenhouse thing, where half the people that watch it say it's clearly self-defense, and the other half the people watch it say it's clearly murder. And then you have shit like on January 6th, where people have video. These are well documented events that you can see and hear for yourself, and people will come to completely different conclusions about what happened. And it's what's fascinating to me is that people will pick up a Bible. I know this is a little bit off the topic, and that they'll say that, this is happened. Look at, there's these witnesses, right? And it's like, and they're writing, 20 years after the fact, and that's being generous. And maybe they weren't even the people writing weren't even the witnesses or whatever. But like, we have shit that happened a couple months ago on video and audio, and we can't even fucking agree on what happened.
Yeah. No, that is so very, very true. They'll hold to something like that, but they will be able to. I can't imagine the amount of mental gymnastics necessary to be able to watch shit like that, but still in your head turn it back and say, no, that was cool. We did the right thing. Like, it's so difficult for me to understand. And I don't know. I guess we just have to, and it's, like I'm again getting yelled at about not giving enough shit to Biden. Biden is not the greatest. Biden was probably the last of all of them that I wanted to be president, but he's still, a fuck ton better than Trump. Like,
when I find that whenever I complain about Trump, people will come back to me immediately with Obama or Hillary. It's like, you know what? I don't have to agree with anything Obama did or anything Hillary did to still have a point about Trump. That's not how it works.
No, but like you said, it's absolute sides right now. If you're against them, then you're, absolutely like pro Biden or pro Obama or whatever, and you are socialist, communist, whatever the fuck word they want to throw at us this time that they clearly don't understand.
People say shit like Trump created peace in the Middle East. That's fucking insane. That's insane. And there's a lot of people who believe that.
Yeah. He that the video of him at that conference the other day, he was talking about how he had saved the economy twice, and it was the best economy that they'd ever had, and he completely fixed up the military. Like, he literally just makes shit up that can be easily disputed, like proven completely wrong with like 2 seconds on fucking Google, for fuck's sake. But they don't, like, there's no, they don't bother to try to look it up. They hear it and they're like, oh yeah, he totally did that. He totally, fixed the economy. Which also, like, if you're going to say he fixed the economy twice, well, that means that you fucked it up once, and at least once enough to have to fix it again. So, just,
the big complaint that I see people doing now is that, the gas prices, look at what Biden is doing to the gas prices. I actually looked at the numbers for that. I looked at the history of gas prices and found that they've been going up since 2016. Since Trump got into office, they were going up and up and up and up. And then when the pandemic hit, they dropped significantly, right? And obviously that had to do with the pandemic. People stopped traveling, people stopped commuting. It was a big deal. The demand for gasoline went way down. So obviously the price went down. And then, now that we're reopening and everything, and the demand is going up and maybe the supply isn't there, now, the prices are going back up. But you know what? They're not out of normal. They're not out of the normal range. They're still in, the average range, just not at, pandemic 2020 levels. So they're being very short-sighted, seeing, now that they're paying more for gas, and then, Biden, it's Biden. Can they say why it's Biden? No, but it is.
First of all, like, them freaking out and like thinking that we were going to run out of gas or some shit.
Oh God, that
going
whole
out and getting a bunch of gas only made it worse.
Yeah.
Like it was unnecessary. We weren't going to run out or whatever. But I was studying for my master's when Bush was still president. That's when I had started. And you want to talk about bad gas prices? They were fucking real bad under Bush. Like it got better under Obama, and then you explained everything under Trump. But like nobody's perfect. You can't. It's not his fault completely anyway. But it's just something for them to grab onto. So.
Yeah. What were you saying right before? You were talking about Bush.
The gas prices were really that was when I started my climate science degree. So I was very cognizant of what the price of a barrel of gas cost, and it was just it was really, especially up near the end of his second term, it was really, really fucking bad.
Yeah, and what you were saying before that was about the hoarding. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to mention was like, you had people putting gas into like cardboard boxes and crap. Like this hysteria. I mean, here in Florida, we see it every hurricane season, and it's always bad, and it's never necessary. Like whenever it happens, these people end up with more gas than they need, right? Gas has a shelf life.
People don't understand that. That's one of the things that's wrong with like The Walking Dead, because the gas that they've had would not, they wouldn't be able to use it by this time, especially it's like 10 years later or whatever. Gas doesn't work like that. But no, there was absolutely, but again, it goes back to the fear mongering, because I'm sure they, that people were saying shit on like Fox and stuff about, oh my God, this is a crisis. What are we going to do? And they just made it worse. It's the same idea with the pandemic. They're anti-science bullshit, and their need to fear monger in order to hold on to their power. It makes everything worse.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They say, oh, there's going to be a gas shortage. So then they do a big run on gas and create a gas shortage.
Yeah.
And when there wouldn't have been one in the first place. So, we had the same thing around here. There was like for a couple of days, there was gas stations, they didn't have any gas. And it's like, well, okay, so, I got to have a tank of gas. I got to, I knew I was going to be fine. Like I knew like this is going to last a couple of days, and then, people are going to realize it was much ado about nothing. And then I'll go fill up my tank. And that's exactly what happened.
And of course, you live in Florida, so I imagine because the same was around here. A lot of for some reason, the southern states had a little bit more of a panic because they tend to be a little bit redder. So no, it was unnecessary and idiotic. But it was amusing seeing all the stupid ways people were keeping the gas, like the people with the fucking bags and shit. Like what are you doing?
Fucking grocery bags.
Why?
Like,
oh my God, I honestly, and we've talked about this, but I fear for the human race sometimes, because holy shit.
Oh yeah, like I didn't feel this way. Let's say a decade ago. I mean, it was probably more recent than that, but like a decade ago, I had far more hope for human beings, but the last 4 years have really taken the wind out of my sails for and having any kind of hope in our thriving or even our survival. Like just seeing how people react to a pandemic. What's it going to be like when like what if COVID is just like a test run for something that's really bad? I mean, we would be fucked. Seeing how people acted.
Mm-hmm. And then it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, especially with the way that the climate is warming, you have more opportunities for disease vectors to spread as climate zones begin to spread. So, and I can't imagine, especially like if this happens sometime again soon, and when we're not even completely over this one, I think society would just fucking collapse, and we'd be just like, no, fuck it, whatever, done.
Climate change, that's like the, no pun intended, the perfect storm, because it happens just slowly enough to facilitate a certain amount of skepticism in people.
Yeah.
Who, they don't want to see it. Like, I've noticed a change in my lifetime. I don't know, I'm 44 years old, and I've noticed a change. Like, I remember very cold, longer winters, and less like extreme weather. Although I did move to Florida, so that's kind of tainted. That Florida's going to have more extreme weather, but
every year since I think 2013 has been a warmer year, the warmest year in human history, and it keeps like it's not unobvious. The signs are there, but like you said, it's slow, and you have things like predictions that don't come true. Like, how I feel about what fucking Gore did with that movie, and how he made all these crazy predictions that didn't happen because climate science wasn't where we're at 15, 20 years ago.
And I've noticed a lot of people confuse the scientists with the journalists, because the journalists want to be sensationalists, and they will make these wild predictions or infer from the science something that it's not implying, and say, oh, this is going to happen in so many years, when that's not what the science was saying at all.
No. And what drives me fucking nuts about that too is that they do the sensational like news article headings. So they'll make a claim like, if we don't do this in this amount of time, we're all going to die, or some fucking shit like that. But then you'll read the article and you'll see it's not exactly true. That's not what the scientists are saying, but they have to, it's like fucking, people who make thumbnails to get people to watch their, it's clickbait. It really is. And it fucks us though, because how much news we are inundated with, and so many people will just read a headline and take that and just go with it instead of actually taking the time to read the science behind it.
Yeah.
And so you do end up with this problem where, there were predictions that were supposed to be made and they weren't fulfilled. Therefore, climate change isn't real. And we're like, again, politicizing it, and the fact that we don't seem to be able to come to a consensus that it is actually real in this country. The rest of the world isn't like that. They accept the climate change is real, it's happening, and they don't make it this fucking crazy ass political issue. It's only done here in America. And the problem is, a friend of mine had asked me today, what, in terms of climate change, what is more, who is more of a problem? If it was India. So I don't know, he had a couple questions, and I said, well, no, it's actually America, because it's our indifference to what's happening, the fact that we have the ability to come up with the science and do what we need to do, except we don't fund the science enough because we're still fucking arguing about whether or not it's actually real, and that fucks us over. And the just sheer amount of the size of our carbon footprint. I mean, we have 4% of the world population and 25% of the carbon output of the entire world. It's fucking insane. So yes, we are you shouldn't have said climate change. You fucking know this shit was gonna happen.
And there's a healthy amount of lying too, like when they say that AOC says the world's gonna end in 12 years. Like, no. They like that's supposed to be a point of no return, right? Where you can't reverse it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the world's going to end then, but that's what they'll say. And then, there's all of these headlines and blogs and articles that say AOC says the Earth will end in 12 years. And then, like 12 years from now, that's going to come up again. And that's going to be used to say that climate change is bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, they twisted everything around with the Green New Deal. The whole thing about like only having one burger or 4 burgers a year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Stupid.
It did not say that. It didn't fucking say that at all. They just straight up made shit up and then sensationalized it to go up against it. It was insane.
And they use that to showcase their bravado. Like, oh no, I'm gonna eat a burger every day, or look at this 12 fucking patty burger that I just took a picture of.
Didn't Donald Trump Jr. do something like that?
Yeah,
post a picture of this
of a giant piece of meat, a giant like a fucking side of beef on his plate. Like they're a rebel of absolutely nothing.
No,
like just big babies saying no, you can't make me, when no one even told them to do it in the first place.
Yeah, it was the same thing with like Dr. Seuss. There was no like us standing up and saying this needs to stop. It was literally their fucking company who said, this stuff's a little iffy, we're gonna take it off the shelves. And they went directly to us fucking canceling that shit. Like, no, but we didn't. And it didn't matter. Like, that it was the truth. They continued for like a fucking week and a half talking about that shit. It was insane.
Fucking Ted Cruz selling signed copies of like Cat in the Hat, like,
which was not one of the ones that they got rid of. So
and the hilarious thing is they're giving money to the people who initiated and then decided to take it down. Like,
yeah, they don't. It's just a war for them to fight. It's just another thing for them to hold on to and say, look, if we don't fix this, we're totally fucked. Because they honestly don't have anything, like, not huge things to fight about. I'm not going to say our side is perfect. We're so far from perfect. But, like, they can't talk shit about Biden's handling of the pandemic right now because he's, quite frankly, doing a bang-up job about it. They can't, his immigration shit isn't great, but, like, it feels for the first time in like 5 years that we as a country can finally breathe again. And I can't imagine, as much as they might have loved Donald Trump, that they don't feel that too, a little bit. At least some of the toxicity is gone. Some of the craziness is gone. We don't have to talk about Biden every day. We don't have to hear about him every day.
Do you think that a lot of this culture war shit is just purposeful distraction?
For what? Distraction for what purpose?
Well, like, for instance, when you have something like a Ted Cruz selling signed copies of a Seuss book, like, he's engaging in that outrage, right? And it's kind of like being a cheerleader to unite the team against a common enemy. So I'm wondering if, like, if there's no proper outrage, well, by golly, we'll come up with it so that we can keep our team cohesive and aligned against the enemy. And they come up with this stupid, insignificant, garbage culture war bullshit to keep the team united and against the enemy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though, is that they have to be able to hold on to that, because that's where they're able to keep their base, is in this just area of absolute fear, complete and total. Like, we have to band together. There's so much anger too.
Yeah.
Their need to, and I don't know if that was there to begin with and they fed upon it, or if just all of this constant fear mongering, especially over the past 4 or 5 years, has just made it come to the surface so hard. And it was kind of brought because of how much fear mongering they've pushed. I don't know.
What I find funny is that as someone who has argued religion, most of my life,
you do?
When I, yes, believe it or not, I have engaged, but what I find funny is that the more I get into arguing about politics, that is way more like rage inducing in people. Like people will argue with you about God, and like some of them get mad, but most of the time it can be a civil argument, but not with politics. With politics, people get heated really quick. They get way more mad about politics than religion. I think maybe 75% of the time.
Yeah. You find like most of the time on Twitter, I don't know, I know you do your arguing with the other side. I'm not gonna say how you do that, but you do. But like I don't know, I don't engage that much with Republicans or whatever. But every once in a while somebody will jump in a thread and will just like completely lose their shit and start name calling and stuff because they love Trump and they feel the need to become so combative over it. It's insane. I can't imagine just sitting there on Twitter and feeling the need to jump in and just start screaming at a stranger and calling them names because they like a different president than you.
Yeah, it's happened to me where they'll just start right away with the personal insults, and they're always like just descriptions of these characters in their head that they think they're arguing against, that don't resemble me in any way, shape, or form. Like just
no, I was gonna say like most people they tend to kind of assume shit about you, but like you're not exactly the most open person out in public, and which is fine, but they will go to and I've seen that a lot with people arguing with you, that they will assume a lot about you. Just the same with like fucking praise. What was that last week? Doing that whole stream about you, like knew nothing about just going off and off. Yeah, it must suck having people assume shit like that about you. I don't know.
It's frustrating. It's a lot of times, like if these people saw me in real life, they would probably assume, that I'm a conservative, because my life looks like a traditional life. I'm married with the kid, and I got the beard, and I got the house and the car. Yeah, it's all very traditional looking. But that's the reason that the reason my views are the way they are is because I know that I'm not under attack as a middle class straight white man with a married kid and a kid. Like I'm not like these people who think that their way of life is being destroyed. Well, I live your fucking way of life, okay? I know I'm not under attack. It's just that I'm not as fragile as you are, and I don't perceive like a gay couple getting married or a transgender person wanting to have gender reassignment surgery. I don't perceive that as a threat to me in any way, shape, or form, because it's fucking not. It does not affect my life. And if you think it affects yours, well, you're just a weak-minded fool. Just plain and simple. And that's one of the reasons I am the way I am, is because I do live their life. I do know what it's like to be totally accepted in society. So I get pissed off when I see people who aren't accepted in society for no good reason, and whose lives are already as hard enough. And then you have these assholes doing everything they can to make it even harder. So when I stick up for them, or at least try to in a way that I think will help, they assume that I'm one of them. Oh, they'll call me the F slur for gay people, or they'll call me an incel or some ridiculous thing, or say get out of my mom's basement or whatever. And everything about my life is what they would want. Like, they would want my life, and they're like trying to degrade me. They talk about birth rates, like, oh, we're dying, we're being replaced to white people and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, we're not. Or they're railing against immigrants. It's like, no, it's fine. You're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's like, but I've actually procreated. Have you? No. Oh, well, they're berating me. Like, why don't you practice what you preach then? Do something about the birth rate. I've actually done something about the birth rate. Have you?
Oh, God, sorry.
I don't know.
I know. The thing is that I know how much joy you get out of arguing with these people, even though like you have this kind of righteous indignation about it. I know you kind of like it, so it therefore brings me joy when you talk about it as well. No, I get that. No, obviously, and you're not, it's like completely one thing or the other. I think I was talking to my friend Phoebe about this earlier, actually. How you can't just put someone into a box because they know you to be one thing. You, as an atheist, figuring that you're exactly one way, their idea in their mind. I mean, you have guns. You used to be in the military. You have a obnoxious. I love your car. Your car is lovely, but I mean, it's a little obnoxious.
It's a little much, but yeah, they all assume that too. They'll assume that I'm totally against guns, and I'm totally, and I would never, like I would never be able to handle the military and everything, and like,
you're kind of a badass in the military. I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing though too, is like you can't brag about it because then that looks shallow too. So
but like, there are people that would, and you wouldn't. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even know. You're so obnoxiously humble.
I mean, I don't know. It's just everything. It's just frustrating when you're trying to argue an issue and they go personal with it, like just right away. It's personal. Like, I don't know. Just deal with the argument.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. When they go for the personal attack, it's because they have no actual argument for the argument. It's the same thing when you see people on Twitter immediately go after, like, if somebody's icon is their picture, so they'll go after the way they look or whatever.
Or the dreaded, the thing that they fear the most, the dreaded pronouns in the bio.
Why does that make them so mad? I don't understand. Like, especially something like Twitter, when sometimes you don't honestly know. Yeah. Like, people have names and icons that do not show, which way it could be. And it's just, why is it? I had this argument with somebody the other day, and I said to him, why are you so against being polite to someone? Like, that's it. It's just a matter of, like, they have a pronoun. You don't agree with it, whatever. Why the fuck is it so hard for you just to be polite? And they went immediately to transgender being about mutilating children or whatever the fuck. And I was like, okay, that was like way extreme, and also literally not how any of that works. But they, again, it's the rhetoric that they hear, and they actually believe that, like, people are having their infants' gender reassigned and shit like that.
But the funny thing is if you ask a lot of those people how they feel about circumcision, they'll be totally fine with it. Yeah. Because that's for religion. That's for God. That's tradition. That makes sense. Like, no, it doesn't. There's no benefit to it. Most of the time
in this country now, it isn't for religion. How many of them fucking Christians had their kids? I did. But I was 22 years old and didn't really think about it. It was just what everybody did. So
yeah,
I
mean, that a lot of people, they don't think about it. It's just it's just what people do. But when you actually, engage with the issue and think about it, I mean, there's no good reason to, right?
No,
and
it's
what
about this a lot. Dave is very against circumcision, and they don't really do America is really the only place we do that for like aesthetic purposes. They don't do that shit in Europe. So actually sitting down and having a conversation and a thought about it. But the thing is, when Angel was like, it was maybe 2 hours after he was born, they came in with him and were like, would you like him circumcised? Like literally as they're taking him out of the room. So they were like on their way to do it anyway. It wasn't a thought. It was like, oh, okay, sure. Like,
right.
I don't know. But sitting and having the conversation about it is different.
Yeah. Yeah. My main moral qualm with it is that it's not consensual.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there should be no issue if a person wants to do it, when they can perceive of what it is. But as a baby, no.
I did apologize to Angel for it, like after having this discussion with Dave, and I said to him, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry for having your genitals mutilated when you were an infant. And he's like, no, we pick on all the kids that aren't circumcised in school. So like, it is a thing. Like it's our culture, unfortunately. But at least he was okay with it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I have kept you for an hour, and it's been an hour and a half. So I will. This was fun. See, I told you we would have shit to talk about.
Yeah, well, I guess genital mutilation is a good note to leave on.
God, this is the end. I'm like, honestly though, are you surprised?
No.
Like,
yeah.
So, but what are you working on for this month? You want to talk about that or no?
So far I've just only been working on my book, and like I said, I can't force this is the trap I fall into, is that I can't force a video, but I feel like I want to be regular about them and make sure I have something at least once a month. So what usually ends up happening is inspiration doesn't strike until like mid-month, and then I just crunch and work constantly to make sure I can get it done before the end of the month.
Yeah, I know. Like there's always a few days at the end of the month where you just like disappear because you like finish everything. Well, but I'm glad that you're working on the book. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited about it and overwhelmed, like with just, I don't know. It's just so much, that I have to consider and to make sure that it's done right, and it can be, stressful because, every time you sit down and start writing, it's not something you can just take back. Like, I mean, technically, obviously you can just delete a bunch of stuff, right? But
you don't want to, especially when you put so much work into it.
Right. And once you get pages and pages in, well, now you're getting into territory where the stuff you're writing now relies on the stuff you've already written, and it's not so easy to take back. And so you just got to you kind of have this pressure to get it right. And that's kind of like what I feel is this pressure to get it right. And so it can be slow going. I'm kind of like my own worst enemy in that, like, I've gone over chapters, dozens of times, rewriting and revising, and
Well, how long have you been working on the book for?
there's been times where I went for months without working on it, and times where I worked on it every day. So it wouldn't be accurate to say, say I've been working on it, since the date I started. I mean, so it's hard to say. But
well, you can't finish it until the series is finished anyway, so it's not, you have to know where it's going.
What I should do is I should do the series until there's one episode left, and then stop it, and then finish the book and make people buy the book to find out what happens. No, I won't do that.
You don't think that people are like going to love the idea of you is putting a book out? I mean, I think it's going to be great. So,
I hope so.
You are, very, very, very hard on yourself, though, much more so than you need to be. You're making me say nice things about you. It's really
I'm sorry. I know you hate that. I know you hate that.
I'm sorry. No, it's cool. But it's true. You are very hard on yourself. But, that everything you end up doing is awesome. Fuck you. Okay, fuck you. I hate you so much. So much.
See, everything you do is awesome is a much more natural place to end than genital mutilation.
Okay, then there we go. I will thank everybody for coming in the audience, and BrainBug for producing, and this asshole, whichever way he's at, for coming and spending the evening with me. I just needed to do something and, have a little laugh for the evening. So very much appreciate it, Jon. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I was happy to be here.
Cool. We will. I don't know when I'll see everybody again, but yeah. Don't forget to think critically. Night, everyone.
Good night.